Hello everyone, and welcome back to my wrap-up of my favorite books of 2022. I just want to say that this year for me held a lot of changes, not just in my life, but also in my channel. I've reached 50 subscribers, which I never thought that I would do. Thank you so much for wanting to see and hear my thoughts. I am so thankful, so grateful, so shocked, so happy. So thank you so much. But this year I also started to shift my content a little bit. I've always had non-book related videos on this channel, but now I find myself drifting more towards journaling and other content. This month, in fact, instead of posting a reading vlog, I will be posting my travel vlog of going to see ATEEZ in concert. So there are going to be a few differences in the way that my channel works now, but I hope you stick around because I will still be talking about books, but I'll also be incorporating other aspects of my life. So look forward to next year's content. So this year I have 7 books that I would consider to be my favorites of the year. That's only 10% of what I read total. I hope to make that number bigger next year, because that's kind of slim pickings, don't you think? So let's just get straight into it. As usual, it is in the order that I read them. They're not in any ranked order. So the first book on my favorites list is The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. It's a pretty obvious choice for the list, I think, because I don't know how someone could read this book and not enjoy it. It's short enough, it's sweet enough, and poetic enough, and it was a very lovely story. I just like the way that it delves into the minds of children, how they're different, and how to keep that simple value of childhood in your own adult life. I just really like the messages of the little book, and I just think that the art and the words and everything about it was just very beautiful, and it really resonated with me. So that was one of the favorite books that I read off of my 100 Epic Reads of a Lifetime poster. I'm really glad the poster introduced me into reading that story. My second favorite book of the year is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I listened to the audiobook for it. I do not own a copy yet, but I really want. A Dowry of Blood is a very excellent vampire novel that became popular within recent years, and it is about a vampire collecting other vampire fledglings and their relationships, their characters, and their dynamics with each other. This book is immensely character-based. There are so many dynamics weaved throughout the story. There's abusive elements, romantic elements, sexual elements, caring elements. There are just so much there's so much going on just between the characters and their relationships, and it is refreshing to see so many different dynamics between all of these characters, because sometimes a lot of books tend to fall into the same conventions when it comes to character dynamics. There's usually a lack of character dynamics, or it's weak, or it's just unrealistic, and this book was based entirely on those dynamics, and I find that really interesting. Once again, the writing of the book was really fantastic. When I was listening to it, I just loved it. I would just pause in my task or my walking and just listen to the sentence and just be totally engrossed by it. I really enjoyed the book. Now, many have called this book sort of a retelling of a Dracula's Bride sort of story, but I really don't see that at all. Sure, it shares a lot of these same conventions of that trope, but it's just, I find it more of like a vampire coven story, like a vampire and his coven, and how they're interacting with him and dealing with him. I don't know, there just wasn't any references to Dracula, and the time period didn't even match with anything related to Dracula, so just calling it that, it just seems a bit odd to me, but I can see the similarities, I just don't think that it's that entirely. I do wish there was more explicit detail and sort of development of the poly relationship, but I do think that all of the relationships in this novel are excellent explorations of characters and their dynamics, and I heavily recommend this vampire story. I can't wait to read it again. My next favorite book of the year is the comic Dracula starring Bela Lugosi. I currently don't have my copy with me, but I would have held it up. There isn't much to say about this graphic novel. It is basically just an adaptation of Dracula, but instead of some rando playing Dracula, they have drawn the actor Bela Lugosi as the character. So instead of being the 1931 guy based on the play, they have drawn him in the actual 1897 novel itself, in that time period, in every aspect of that novel, not the adaptation that he starred in. So it's very interesting to see if the actor was in a more accurate adaptation of the Dracula movie. The art in the graphic novel is really, really cool. It is based on the 1897 novel, but it uses a lot of sort of shot composition, actor like appearances, and other aspects that would have just happened if they made a more accurate adaptation of the book in the 30s. So it's just very 1930s old period piece sort of looking in the panels, and I find that really, really exciting. So it is just an excellent way to just dive into Dracula and see how cool it would have been if Bela Lugosi played the actual 1897 version of the monster. So I highly recommend checking out that graphic novel as well. My next favorite book of the year was Fangs Volume 1, which is a manga by Billy Bali. Definitely not their name, but I'm just going to call them that because that's what's on the cover. It is a BL manga suggested to me by my friend, and it is about a man who turns into a vampire during an accident, and then he gets this sort of sponsor that comes and helps him just transition into the world of becoming a vampire and developing relationships with people. And they develop their own relationship. I loved this manga. It was great. The art was beautiful. It was so hot. It was romantic. I really, really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to read more volumes that delve more into their relationship and the other characters. I'm supposed to be getting volume 2 in the mail by my friend very, very, very soon. So I can't wait to read that and share my thoughts about that. My next favorite book is Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, for years, this was one of the most popular books talked about in online book spaces, so I won't delve into it too much. I'm sure everyone's talked about this book to death, but I will say, Taylor Jenkins Reid, when the gimmick is good, it's a good book, and I enjoyed the gimmick of this book. This book is about the fictional band Daisy Jones and the Six and their rise to fame, their collaborations with each other, the events that eventually sort of broke the band up, and it's all told from interviews from every character related to the band's point of view. So it's like a documentary or like an interview, and I really liked that gimmick. That's a good gimmick to tell a story like this. It was short, sweet, to the point, easy read, very, very enjoyable read. It's a very light, comfortable read. It is the one that I will recommend the most to just a general reader in this video. However, I just wish that a lot of the plot elements had more impact. I wish that there was more scandal, like the big events in this novel sort of fell with a thud, and a lot of people have been saying this criticism. They don't really know why they became the most famous band in the world. There wasn't like huge spectacle involved around them, right? Like, because it's the 70s. It should be huge spectacle, huge scandal, anything. And a lot of that happened in this novel was just a little bit flat. So I just wish that there was more oomph in it. But yes, I recommend Daisy Jones and the Six to anybody who wants to read it. It's that like light and easy of a book. My next favorite book, which is my favorite book of the year, is These Violent Delights by Mika Nemirever. The writing in this book is incredibly, incredibly excellent. I highly relate to a lot of what happens in the novel in regards to the relationship with his family, trying to make friends, trying to fit in, just trying to exist with people around you, forcing you to be something that you're not, or disappointed in you for not being something that they imagined you to be in their head. Hopeless. This is a hopeless book. And the fact that I relate to it so much is almost like vulnerable to admit, but hey, it is also obviously a very desperate and very violent book. It just shows how if you act upon your violent urges, the consequences of that. I just think that this is an incredibly well done book. I really, really enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed the relationship between the main characters. The writing, oh my god, I could just gush all day about the writing. It hurt, like, to listen to. I listened to this on audiobook, and reading it hurt. I cried at the end. Book hasn't really made me cry since, I'd say, like, Little Women, like cry, like tears fall sobbing. It is a book that just shows the most extreme aspects of obsessive love, of anger, of violence, of just your urges, of just what you really want to do and why you shouldn't do them. This is an excellent, I'd say it's a dark academia book because there is school incorporated into it and there are similar themes incorporated into it. I found out about this book because it was on a dark academia list, but now I'm so glad that I found it. I want a copy of this book, obviously, so I hope I get one soon. So yeah, my favorite book of the year. And my final favorite book of the year is a small gem found it at the thrift store. It is Picnic at Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay. This is another one that I would recommend so easily because look how short it is. It's super, super short. So this book is about a all-girls school in the year 1900 and 3 girls from the class go missing on their trip to a rock. It's like a day trip to this beautiful hanging rock and they go missing. And that just is the catalyst for just a bunch of crap that happens to the school, the people involved, the people who tried to do a search and rescue of the girls. Everybody's just cursed by this event and there's no resolution and no one knows what happened and it's just this bleak little mystery. Despite the fact that this book is incredibly short, it is so full of tension. It stretches out this event months and it is so slow. This is a teeny tiny little book. It is incredible that it managed to do that. Once again, the writing, beautiful. I would just sit there at work looking down at the sentences and just being like, oh, I want to read that sentence again. It was so, so beautiful. And just the stillness of this book and the descriptions of nature and the descriptions of the themes of just like mystery and hopelessness and just beautiful, beautiful prose. I just really, really liked this book a lot. And this is one of those books that I like just because it's atmospheric. A lot of times I want there to be a plot and I want there to be like purpose, but this one, it's short enough that it was just a beautiful atmosphere. And I recommend those who want to take part in it. Like, try it out. It's, you know, can't go wrong with such a short book. So that's it. Those were my favorite books of the year 2022. Thank you so, so much if you watched any of my videos this year, even if it was just this one. I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's comments. I look forward to people's comments. And I hope that you join me in the year 2023 for not just bookish content. I hope to incorporate a bit more journaling. Next year, I hope to do a reshoot of my bookshelf tour because I'm going to be talking more about the new things on my bookshelf. I will be doing more vampire book recommendations. And comment down below if you want to see any more content from me, want to hear any of my thoughts about anything. I'd really appreciate that. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next year. Bye!